Hi everyone and welcome back. Before going to the advanced testing topics or more complex examples, I just want to talk about some couple of more aspects about testing, how we are testing the pipes, how we are testing the controller services, or maybe auth guard, interceptors, and all those things. Okay. So here this is a simple examples, and I will be mostly doing a code walkthrough before because it doesn't have an integration with the database. It is just giving us the data through the mock. It's like a cat controller, and there is a cat service, which is just playing with this simple array. I mean, these cat examples you might see on the NestJS portal also. Lots of cat. NestJS logo itself is a cat. Okay, so this is a simple service. Update cat, delete cat, or add cat, and it's playing with this just a simple array. We have the array of cats. Get all this dot cats. Find by ID, we will just do the array dot find. Add cat, we will just do a push. Delete cat, we are just removing that index and setting the new cat. You on this object, this dot cat equal to filter, and remove that cat index. First find the cat index. Update cat, just update couple of properties in the cat, and then set the cat index. Simple. So this is the cat service. Now what we are doing in this whole example, I created the interceptor and pipe and the guard just to showcase how the real testing works. So if you go to the controller first, what all things you see here? You might be wondering that we are writing only the tests for controller services. But we have lots of building blocks in the NestJS, like you can create a guard, you can create interceptor, you can create a pipes and interceptors, pipes. All these are actually building blocks. I mean, later you will be creating the auth guard and local strategies, all those things. But mainly what else we create? We create a auth guard, we create interceptors, we create pipes. These are the basic things which additionally you will sometimes create. And here you can see when you are calling this controller cat method, right? Because you have added this interceptor on the top and the guard on top, we also need to deal with this. Okay, so let's take a look how it is all happening. I mean, we have already tested this, worked on this, that how we can write a simple test for controller. You can just simply mock the service version, cat service, and you can define your own version of get all, get by id, add cat, delete cat, and update cat. And then you can just call the methods and just check, okay, whatever the result, mock result you put is coming from the after calling the method or not. I mean, just first spy on, then just call the actual method and then do the assertions. So here testing the controller is kind of simple. If you see testing module, create testing module, we have controller, and inside of providers, I'm going to provide a mock implementation of cat service. This is the cat service, and it has all these methods. Get all. How can I minimize them? So these are different methods: get all, get by ID, add cat, update cat, delete cat, and we are going to provide their mock implementation. So how we can do that? Jest.fn.mock return value. What it is saying is using this method just.function.mock return value, you are saying this whenever if you start using the instance of this get service and you call the get by id, then I'm going to return you this object as a mock, because unit testing is all about mocking. It is going to return you the true, it is going to return you a simple object updated cat, and we are playing with an array, so we don't need to really mock the repository TypeORM or entity repository. We are just playing with array, so we can just create a array and play with that. So this is our cat controller. Cat controller spec is kind of simple. If I just walk you through what we are doing here, it's kind of simple. First we are cat controller defined, then we got all the cats, get all cats. So get all cats should be an object, cat.id should be 1, name should be this, to be this. Why I'm saying this? Because here I didn't do any mocking, because get all cats. Here when you are calling get all cats in this, where is that? Get all cats. What it is doing is it is calling get all method. And we have already mocked the get all method and saying that when you are calling get all, I'm going to give you these two cats. First is this ID, cat name, breed. You just need to play with that, right? You can just length is 2. Even you can just write more assertions. Okay, id should be here, id is 2, test kit 2, test kit 1, test kit 2. So this is the array of 2, right? Red kit 0 1, id should be 2, and one name test kit 2. We are already asserting that. I'm just checking with the id, name id, and then we can assert the name of 0th index also. This is test kit 1. Okay, because I already marked it and I can play with the data. Get cat by id. Here you are passing get cat by id and you are passing id 1. Now get cat by id, when you are calling this, you are calling get by id, and we have marked it get by id, and we are returning this object. So you know id is 1, then the name will be test cat 1, breed will be test breed 1. Here we just asserting the same object. Okay, name should be test cat 1. Create new cat, you can pass the object, and when you are calling create new cat, it's create new cat, it is calling add cat. And what add cat is returning for you, you can just check that method here. It is returning this thing, mock return value. Yes, and we are comparing the same thing. So testing of controller and services is all about how we are mocking. So this is a controller. Now you can keep writing the tests, whatever, in what number you get satisfied, you should be good with that. Now if I write service, if you see cat service is simple, get by id, it's just doing a find and returning. If not found, you can say bad request exception or not found exception, right? Add cat, just add the new cat in the cat array and return it. Delete cat. So if I just look into the service methods, here we are creating testing module, and this is the cat service. Why? Now think about it. I'm not doing any mock implementation here. Why? Because cat service is already a plain JavaScript. If I just start playing with the cat service, it's all JavaScript. I don't need to provide a mock implementation because it's not representing any repository, TypeORM repository where I need to mock it. If you see cat services, I know I can assert these things. Okay, this is the initial cat. I can just insert cat, delete cat, update cat, get all cat, and I know the result set. So you can do the mock testing when you already know what that method is going to return, and then you assert it that after calling that method, this is the actual output and both are same. So we already know that what initial version of cat array is. So here get all, I already know the length is 3 and the cat 0 is something like this, right? Get by id, when you are trying to do get by id 2, I know it will give me the id 2 and name is Terra, right? Here if you try to get the id, this is important. I mean, these are how it works. Expect service dot get by id, obviously it will throw an error. To throw an error, because no cat, it will throw a bad request exception. When you are doing add cat, the new cat will get added. Delete cat, it will return true false, right? So expect service to delete cat 2, this is valid, and this is invalid because there is no such id, so it will return the negation of it. So this is how you can write the test cases of the cat service, and we are not doing mocking here. Another important thing we are doing here is we are not using validation pipe. So that means I'm trying to do validate of the payload attributes using some built-in pipe. So I wrote a custom pipe cat pipe, and we are validating it only for create, because when you hit a create API, we are passing some cat attribute, and I want to validate the payload is okay or not. There are two ways of doing it. Either you can define a cat DTO with the class validators. This is the cat DTO, but one thing is you could have used class validator, and here you could have defined like int string is defined. All these things you could have used if you want to use validation pipe. Then validation will be taken care by NestJS because you are using built-in validation. Here what we are doing is we are using Simple pipe, what cat pipe is doing, if you see, I mean, you can build your own pipe. Cat pipe is just implementing pipe transform, and in this transform method it is just validating the types. Okay, the breed, I mean, there may be a different possibilities. If age is not a number, age is a string, name is just a number, all those permutation combinations are there. And it is throwing bad request exception whenever you see any error coming from a pipe. It converts into bad request exception. I mean, we are explicitly throwing it because it's a custom implementation. But if you are doing with a class validator, it also returns the bad request exception. And we are just using it here. And how I'm using it, if you see, I mean, I there is no validation here because it's a get call, get by id. There is no validation here. We are doing parse int. So this is the param parse int pipe I'm using explicitly. So what this parse int pipe does, so parse int pipe transform, in the transform we are checking if the value is should be a number. Okay, if value is a string or not a number, then obviously we are going to throw a bad request exception that it's a number. And the same thing we are adding here. So I mean, this is just a NestJS view of doing things. You can pass a pipe. I mean, there are two ways of implementing this: passing a parameter, okay, or using a particular custom pipe. So to avoid any confusion, I will try to do it in both different ways. So I will do pnpm add, and I think there is a class transformer. If I added these things correctly, and then I can create this DTO. I mean, this is how I also generally do. And here inside DTO, I can just write export class, and here we are passing just an ID string, and here we can define all these properties like API property. That's a Swagger thing, but here we can do is defined. I need to fix the class validator import, then I should be able to use it. So this way we can add validations. I need to import it explicitly. I don't know why it was not showing. It's a VS Code error. Whenever you add a package runtime, it doesn't show up right away. Is defined is string. You can also add that is defined is string. That means it should be a string. It should be defined. So these kind of validations I can do, and I can convert this cat param DTO. So here I'm passing cat param DTO update import. But for this, because now it's an object, right? So I have to use param.id. Okay, and ID is a string. Why it's complaining? ID is a number. Okay. Now there is another important aspect of NestJS is whatever the query parameter it passes, right? It's always passed as a string because you are using APIs. In APIs, query parameter is always passed as a string. So you can actually transform it here, the string to a number. So this is how we generally do it. What we do is we globally add, I mean, controller at controller level, I'm adding a use pipe, new validation pipe, and rest I use these DTOs. Like for here, query parameter, cat param DTO. I'm using is defined, type should be a number. It's transforming that into a number for me directly. So we don't need to use is number, but the types is number. And here we can use a class validator and transformer utilities to help us in doing that. So if you are passing number, string, then it will complain. Similarly, here you can pass a DTO is create cat DTO, right? And then you can define, okay, what all attributes you want in the create payload. So here in the controller, I'm creating cat pipe, which contains what all attributes, name, breed, edge. Okay, all are string. So this we can copy and we can add our own validations on this. So here validations can be a simple validation like is defined or is string. Okay. And for number, we will be using the same. We will transform it. This is age. Okay, so we have written a create cat DTO. So this is just another way of doing the same thing. Here we don't need to pass the pipe, create cat DTO, and we already added a global validation pipe. So there are two ways of doing it. Either you write your own custom pipe, or for the payload validation, rely on the class validator and declare a use pipe on top of that. So your validations will be handled in that way. But what happens is, I don't want to do this. I can write my own custom pipes. So this will be done like this then. So here I'm explicitly using parseInt pipe and the cat pipe. Okay, I can write my own validator. I'm not using any global pipes, and I can just validate. And here this cat pipe, we can also write the test cases for the cat pipe. Here you can see I have written this cat pipe. It should be defined, and here I can call the transform method of the pipe. So here what you are doing, it's a simple class. You don't need to create a testing module for testing the pipe. You just create a cat pipe, and then you can just do pipe is defined, and then pipe.transform. You just need to call the transform method. Rest will be handled by the NestJS. And what we are doing in the transform, it's a simple class method, right? To validate your logic is correct or not, this logic. If you are validating the age, name, and breed correctly, then it is fine. Otherwise, you will be expecting the exception messages, and then you can assert them. Okay, incoming cat is not formatted correctly. Error pipe to throw an error, right? To throw an error, pipe.transform. You just need to do this. Needs to be a function if you want to handle the error, if you want to catch the error. So in the expect block, we need to write this arrow function completely, pipe.transform. Now what we are doing is simply passing an object with the sometimes with the age wrong formatted, with sometimes the name and the breed as a number, and it is doing the validations. And this is how you can validate your custom pipe which you have created. And we are not doing a create testing module, simply creating a cat object, DTO object, and it's not even class. It's just an object, plain JavaScript object, and we are passing it in the transform method. Okay, so this is how you can run the tests for your validation pipes. Even we have a parseInt pipe somewhere. Yes, so parseInt pipe, I call the object because it's a class. It has a transform method, and I'm just asserting or testing the transform method by passing the random values to be a random number, to throw an exception. Here I have again arrow function to throw an error. Simple. So here all my tests are passing, which are just a controller and services, and it's just a code walkthrough. Next video, we are going to make some complex test cases. Let's say we will write a simple auth service where we have a auth guard, auth strategies. We have to mock the JWT service. We have to mock the user service, auth service, and that combinations will make our test cases more stronger. We are still talking about all unit test cases. That's it. Let's meet in the next video.